Hello everybody, this is RBR Short Film 13, aka Ryan, and today I'm doing a video of basically talking about why I made a Twilight fan short. I was a huge fan of the movies when I was a kid. I didn't even know the series existed, I didn't even know there was books. When I was 13, my sister, she rented it at Blockbuster, and she just said, give it a watch, and I'm like, Twilight, like this isn't going to be good at all. So I played it on my portable DVD player, and I was blown away. I loved the atmosphere, the coloring, the music, the tone. You know, not everybody was into the movie, but I loved it. I loved it. And when I found out it was a series, that they had New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn, all that was wowing to me. Like, what? It's a franchise? Because I thought Twilight was its own movie. You know, it was one book. So the fact that there were sequels on its way, I was like, what? So I started reading the books immediately. I went to Barnes & Noble and got all the books, and I would smell the books. Like, it was like the best gift in the world. And I would read them, and it just was such a fun escape. And New Moon was just such a fun book to read. New Moon is my favorite Twilight book out of all of them. Like, that one was the most fun read out of all the books. I remember seeing the movie when that came out in November 2009, and I was blown away. I was like, wow. And at the end, it said Twilight Eclipse coming 2010. I remember that. That was so cool. And the anticipation, the hype. I remember going to the midnight DVD releases, you know, to get the Blu-rays or DVDs in time. It was so cool. I remember I got the Twilight Eclipse DVD at Blockbuster. Last time Blockbuster sold any Twilight Blu-rays or DVDs was Eclipse, and that was an amazing thing, because I remember taking it home that night and watching it on my DVD player, and it was so fun as a Twilight. It was so great. It was so fun to be alive then as a Twilight fan, and just the anticipation of the sequels. And it's like, how the Breaking Dawn movie's going to be like. How are they going to pull this off, adapt it to movies? So when Part 1 came out, I was blown away, and Part 2, you know, that's my least favorite out of all of them. I think that one could have been a lot better. Breaking Dawn is definitely my least favorite book out of all of them. I just have my own personal views on it that I don't like, but the first three are golden. The first three books, like, they are, it truly is a beginning, middle, and end. Twilight, the first act, New Moon's the second act, Eclipse is the third act, and I loved it. I wanted them to make more Twilight films. Lionsgate, Summon Entertainment, and Stephenie Meyer, I wanted them to make more films, but they wouldn't make more movies. And I know Stephenie Meyer, she's gone on to do these other books and other movies, and she's worked on these new shows. And, you know, every artist has every right to do new things. I just wish that she would come back to it. She did with Life and Death, Twilight Reimagined, which is a great book. But I would love for her to finish Midnight Sun for us fans. Please, Stephenie Meyer, finish Midnight Sun. Release it to us. I mean, it's been 10 years since that first Twilight movie. It's been 10 years since the Breaking Dawn book. Like, this would be the perfect, if you release this in October, it would be the perfect time. Like, and I know you have to be ready to write this book and everything. It's just us fans, we want Midnight Sun. That would be the greatest Twilight book. And just as you know, Twilight fans are family to me. Any Twilight fans that I've run into, or one of them that's any of my movies, they're family. I just connect with them because we love the series in the same way. And it's a franchise that can be so expanded. I feel like it could have multiple spin-offs. It could have, they could even make a TV series, a Netflix series of the Wolfpack. You know, just go into that, and go into the Volturi. My Twilight fan short is about the Volturi, and I always loved the Volturi in the Twilight films. The gifts they had, you know, Jane had like the pain gift, and Aro, by any touch, you know, he could read any thought. You know, that Edward could read minds, because he actually, I think he joined the Volturi for a little while. Alec with his scary gift, where it's like he could suffocate people with like this black mist. Really scary stuff. And just tons of, you know, the fact that the Volturi wants to gather vampires that have all of these gifts is so cool. So I've always loved that, and I just feel like these characters and this world can be so much more expanded. And I really hope Stephanie Meyer writes more books. I hope Lionsgate and Summit makes more movies. I feel like because there's so much Star Wars, there's so much Marvel, there's so much all this stuff, but Twilight. And Twilight is just, it's epic to me. I feel like it has so much potential to do all these things, and I've just been a fan of it since I was 13. Different generation, you know, I come from a time where, you know, these are my generation vampires, you know, previous generation, you know, they had Vampire Chronicles, and I love Anna Rice's books and the old Dracula books and movies and all that. I love those films, Lost Boys, all those movies. They're classics. But there's something about Twilight that's just so intriguing to me. So the atmosphere and everything, it's just amazing. So these are my favorite Twilight books throughout history. New Moon. New Moon, I recommend any Twilight fan to read it. I'm sure any Twilight fan has read it, or most Twilight fans. And Life and Death, Twilight Reimagined. It was actually a anniversary of the first book, and she wrote a Twilight Reimagined of it, which was so cool. Which basically is if Edward and Bella would have been, if Edward would have been a girl and Bella would have been a guy, Edith and Beau. And she wrote it really well. And a big tribute to the first book. There was a chapter that was called Confessions, and that's why I named the movie Confession, Twilight fan short, because that is actually my favorite chapter of the book. Here we go. And what are the odds? It's chapter 13. Get it? RBR short from 13? Here we go. Let me show you. Oh! There it is. Confessions. That's the chapter that I wanted to, the title I wanted to tribute. Instead of Confessions, Confession. And yeah, so I love the books. I love the movies, but you know, the books are the best. The books are the best, you know. And yeah, so I have all the Twilight books, but these are my favorites. So I will read these for the rest of my life, more than any of the other books. And thank you, Stephanie Meyer, for creating Twilight. Thank you for being a part of the movies, you know, gathering Robert Pattinson, Kristen Stewart, creating this iconic love story, but also adding all these other characters to it. It was incredible, Stephanie. Thank you so much. Thanks to the filmmakers, the producers, actors, everybody that made this happen, the crew, and just thank you. And I'm always going to cherish Twilight for the rest of my life, as I hope with other Twilight fans. So that's my video, guys. That's the reason why I made a Twilight fan short. I'm working on my next movie now in post. I filmed it right after the Twilight short, so I'm in editing of it now. And yeah, more movies, more news to come with RBR Short from 13. And I will talk to you guys soon. All right, peace.